What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another Q&A video from one of the Q&A posts that I did on my Instagram. I know I'm always so delayed with answering them, but we're gonna go through a bunch of them in today's video. So if you like today's video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let's get right into these questions. Ooh, that's a hard question. In the next 3 years, I definitely still see myself living part-time in Toronto, but hopefully I will have around some type of place in the States as well, because I would love to live there for the snowy months because I don't like living in Canada when it's really cold. That's kind of like personal living wise. Now in terms of goal wise, I would love to still have my app and still kind of build that out, maybe something a little bit more custom by the time 3 years rolls around. And then of course with social media, still posting on all of my platforms. Hopefully my YouTube channel has grown quite a bit in the next 3 years. So that's another one of my goals, is just to kind of keep growing my social medias, having fun, and hopefully getting away from the cold. Okay, so my learning path definitely came from when I was younger. So I did dance, gymnastics, and cheerleading. So that's where all my acrobatic background comes from. And in terms of calisthenics and bodybuilding, that came later in life after I graduated university. So in terms of like a definitive path, there is really no path, because a lot of the athletes that I train with don't have the same background that I have at all. I would definitely recommend, if you're someone who's wanting to get into, say, like flips and tricks, there's always the adult gymnastics classes, as well as you can try out a parkour gym. The one that I film all my videos at that has the gray flooring is called the Monkey Vault. That can be found in the GTA area. And that's, again, a parkour gym that has a ton of setups for you guys to learn some basic flips and some introductory stuff, as well as it has a whole like gym in the back. Now, in terms of just getting strong in calisthenics, definitely just take that step, try to find a community and go to a calisthenics meetup and see if you can meet some really cool people, and then kind of just combine and make time for both ends, both the flipping as well as the strength training. And then mobility, you just have to make sure that you're patient with it and working at it and staying dedicated. But finding avenues where you have a great community to help cheer you on and just support you is going to be the best option. So I started my fitness journey back into, I would say my official start to my fitness journey where I took it seriously was in 2019 when I got to prep for my first bodybuilding show. During that time period on prep, I absolutely did have a period of like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was about 2 weeks out from my regional show. And I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I just want to stop this, because it was just so tedious. And kudos to anyone who does bodybuilding, because that entire mental side of the sport is just so different than anything else I've ever done. And so since then, I would say I don't think I've ever had the feeling of like, I just want to quit, because a lot of the stuff that I do now is far less structured. Like if I don't want to work out that day, I'll take like a rest day of some sort, whether it's stretching or doing a group class or anything like that. Everything that I do now is kind of like go with the flow and a lot more fun. Now, it's not to say that I would never go back to bodybuilding, because I definitely do want to eventually, but I just know I have to be in a different mental mind state to make sure that I'm like okay to do all like the regimented stuff, because it is a lot of work. So I started my fitness journey in 2019, and then I would say around 2020 is when I got into more of the stuff that you guys see now on my Instagram, where I'm doing all the flips, the calisthenics, a lot more fun hybrid type training. So this is a common question I get asked a lot, because a lot of people ask how often I stretch. I think people are underneath the idea that I spend hours every single day stretching, but in reality, I really only stretch for my warm up and my cool down. And then in terms of like actual in-depth stretching sessions that are like 30 to 45 minutes, those ones really only happen like once to twice a week, mostly once a week though. So for warm-ups, it's usually dynamic. And then for my cool down, it's a little bit, more static, a little bit just like chilling out at the end of my workout. So in order to fit it all together, I always just make sure that my stretching takes place while I'm already at the place that I'm working out. If you do try to separate them, where you feel like you have to do a stretching session that's separate from your workout, that's when it becomes a little bit more tedious and probably a little bit less motivating, just because you're not in that same space, that same motivation area in your brain, than when you're just like at the gym. So I definitely recommend doing it as your warm up as well as your cool down, and that's the best way to stay mobile and active and ready for your workouts. Body control, I feel like that was ingrained in me as like a young gymnast, because that's my background. And I did gymnastics from the age of like 5 to I believe 12. So all the whole proprioception, knowing how my body's moving in space, everything like that, definitely was something that I learned as a child. So if you are someone who's like a little bit older, again, jumping into something like an adult class for gymnastics would be a great idea. Or if you're someone who's wanting to get your child into something to gain a lot of body control, gymnastics is one of those great sports. I would say after a certain amount of years though, definitely pair it with other sports because from personal experience, I was so gymnastics heavy that when it came to kicking a soccer ball, catching a ball, running and catching, anything like that, I'm super uncoordinated with. So having a little bit more of a balance growing up, I think would have made me a more well-rounded athlete. I started gymnastics when I was 5, I believe, from 5 to 7. And then I said I got bored and then I went to dance really quickly for just a year. Then I went back to gymnastics. And I did that from basically 8 to 12. And then in high school, I did dance for the 4 years I was there at competitive level. I say competitive, but it wasn't like a super high ranking studio. It was just like a fun, more like just for fun type dancing. And then I did competitive cheer level 6 all girl in university. The secret of my happiness, that's a hard question to answer. I feel like my happiness comes from surrounding myself with the people that I just like feel like the most at peace with, and like I can be myself, I can be goofy, I can be serious, you know, all my friends know exactly how I am, so I feel like that's kind of the fuel to my happiness is the people that I surround myself with, as well as everyone that I surround myself with are people who have common interests with me as well, so people who like to be fit, or like to have like game nights, stuff like that, things that just make me happy and bring me joy, are the things that I kind of surround myself with. I get asked this question all the time, like what motivates me to like get up in the morning and like to do everything that I do. One, it comes a lot from intrinsic because I have a lot of goals for myself that I want to accomplish. So that's where a lot of my motivation comes from, because obviously if you don't wake up every single day, if you're not doing the steps to get to where you want to be either tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years, or whichever, you're never going to get there. So that's a big part of it. But another part of it is, again, the people that I surround myself with. A lot of you guys think I'm like so talented and like so crazy, but trust me when I tell you the people that I train with, whether it's strength training or the calisthenics or the flips, like the people that I surround myself with are insanely talented. So they're the ones to keep me going, helping me set new goals each and every way. So it's definitely a part of like just the community I surround myself with that keeps me motivated to show up and be my best self. My shin? My shin. Like of my leg? We're a whopping 13 inches. Is that normal? Is that absurd? For reference, I'm 5 feet tall with a 13-inch tibia. Anyways, next question. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I don't read. Like my goal for 2023 is to read 4 books, which does not sound like a lot because some people have out there like 24 books, 36 books. I'm just gonna aim to read 4 books. And they don't have to be big books, they might just be small books, but I don't really read, so I can't say my favorite book at all. My favorite movies are anything Marvel. I'm a huge Marvel fan and absolutely love all of the movies. My favorite characters are probably Thor and what's the guy with the arrows name? Hawkeye. See, it looks like I'm not even a fan, but Hawkeye is my other favorite character. 10, that's a lot of exercises. Okay, first one. Bulgarian lunges. I know a lot of people don't like Bulgarian lunges. I love Bulgarian lunges. Second would be toes to bar. I just like that movement because it's one that I'm efficient at and I can always get my toes to the bar. Handstand push-ups. That's only 3. I have so many more to go. Probably pull-ups, dips, because I'm really good at dips, push-ups, pistol squats, shoulder press. Last final exercise that I really like. I'm gonna say plank seesaws. I like those as well. So that's 10. Okay, so I don't train in bare feet because I just hate the look of bare feet in general. Like whether they're my feet or anyone else's feet, I just don't want to see them. So that's why my feet are always in socks. I don't train in shoes most of the time because it's usually calisthenic movements. So things like push-ups, pull-ups, dips, handstands. I know it sounds silly, but like that extra bit of weight of having a shoe on my feet, I just want to dash that away. I just want to be in socks. And the only time I really train in shoes is when I'm at like a commercial gym, when I'm doing more of like my strength training stuff. And even then I'll periodically take them off when I'm doing things like pistol squats or if I want to like feel the floor a little bit more. In general though, like training in socks is a little bit more beneficial than training in shoes. Now, depending on the person and like the feet support and everything, but it just helps because you can actually have more tactile feedback and it just allows for a little bit more better balance and just overall feedback when you're training. I, first of all, hate dates, so I don't think anything about a date could be romantic for me because I don't like them. I don't know. I'm a very simple person. I just want to have like a game night and food. That's my stuff. This question always makes me nervous because I always say no, and some people get real angry about it. Now, for me personally, I would never become a vegetarian or vegan because the amount of protein I eat I prefer to have it from like food sources, and just the food sources that come from like vegan or vegetarian sources are a little bit lower on the protein. So I'd have to eat so much food in order to fill it. And I just feel like with my lifestyle and my current like convenience, it won't work for me, and I just won't purely enjoy it. Another thing too is I personally just don't like the flavoring a lot of vegan proteins. So it just, again, my lifestyle and personal preference, I could never go vegan or vegetarian, but I support anyone who does go vegan or vegetarian. I would say if I were to go any of them, pescatarian would be the closest one because I can still eat fish, and I love salmon and whitefish, and that's a great way to get protein in as well. Nutrition, everyone always makes it so complicated. It's really just simple. It's like what you take in versus what you burn out. So obviously if you're someone who's trying to lose weight, just make sure those numbers aren't gonna be, again, what you're taking in is way over what you're burning. And then just make sure like the simple rules of like following the outside of the grocery store, not going into the processed stuff, or just like quality control. A lot of the times we eat past when we're, satiated. And so we're eating so much food when we don't need to. And you're becoming more full than you need to. So just follow the simple basics, I would say, for people who are first getting into nutrition. And then once you kind of have like a good balance and like idea of what you're eating, then you can kind of dive more into like the whole macro side, which is a lot more detailed. There's weighing your food and counting everything out, which seems tedious for a lot of people. But again, if you break it down in a nice, simple way, it really isn't. But if you're someone who's completely new and just want to like keep it simple, just follow like the very easy steps of just trying to stay as healthy as possible, making smart choices and listening to your body. Top 3 weight loss tips. Tip number 1, don't go 100% right away. A lot of people, when they first start their goals, especially in the new year, because we are January 2nd right now, so it's brand new, they make goals of like, I'm gonna do cardio 5 times a week, I'm gonna work out 5 times a week, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna, do all this stuff. And then you make your goals so big that when you don't accomplish all of them, you feel defeated and then you don't wanna continue. So that's tip number 1, is just make things very reasonable and achievable. So they can be very small goals. Like I wanna go to the gym once this week. Like start there and then build your way up. In terms of weight loss, 2, make it something that you can do, again, long term. Those really quick, like fad diets or fast diets, anything like that isn't something that you're gonna wanna continue on through the rest of your life. So make sure whatever you're doing to lose weight is something that you can picture yourself doing for a long time, and it's not just like a quick fix of like a 6-week, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds, because those will never work. And then number 3 is just making sure that you have a good community to support you. You never want people who don't care at all. And you never want people who are the exact opposite, who are just like constantly like beating down on you, criticizing you, like being like, are you sure you want to eat that? Like you don't want to have a bad relationship with your process and your journey either. You want to have a nice supportive group of people who are understanding and will support you through all of your different ups and downs throughout your entire weight loss journey. I do have one. I feel like it's so cliche and probably people will be like, oh my God, that's so like overused, but stay humble. Wait, what is it? No, hustle hard, stay humble. What is it? Oh, and I need to look it up. I don't even know my own motto, but I think you guys know the one I'm talking about. Stay humble, hustle hard. Yeah, that's it. Stay humble, hustle hard. I like that one. It's if you literally Google it, it's like one that like slashes in the middle where like the words match up with each other. 1, I like it aesthetically, and 2, it's just like a really great one. And then the other one is actually my laptop background, where it's like, don't get upset from the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. So that's one that I like to have on my laptop, because on things where I'm like, oh, like, why didn't I get this move? Or why is work not going a certain way? I have to like then reflect and be like, well, what have I done to make it happen? So it's one of those ones to kind of just like keep you self-aware and keep you accountable, are the kind of mottos that I like to live by, or just remind myself as I'm going through my daily life. I'm not, but thank you. I would say a lot of people have the thought process that I am very strong, and when I do videos with guys, we're on the same level. But at the same time, whenever you do a collab with someone, you always want to make sure that both people look good. I'm sure if one of the guys was like, hey, we're gonna bench 325 today, I would not look good, because I would literally be like smooshed underneath the barbell. So when doing videos with everyone, you always want to make sure it's fair to each party, that everyone's gonna look talented and strong and everything like that. So even though I'm such a small petite person, and I'm working out with someone who's say like 6 feet and like double my weight, and we're doing the same thing, it's not to say that I'm stronger because I can do the same thing he can. It's just that we found a movement that we can both equally perform just as well. I'm gonna say it wrong because I'm so not into music, but you know Burna Boy? I like that song with Ed Sheeran. The Own It one, and then there's another one. but I forget. It has the wallpaper that's red. I'm not a music person, as you can tell, but I just like it. I actually once listened to it and I was working it on repeat for the entire hour because it was really just great vibes. So this is a question I get a lot when people DM me, like how I get started. Was this always like my end goal or whatever? Honestly, no. I started my Instagram account strictly for me, and when I decided to post every single day, that was more of like a me thing. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to tap that. ASMR, so sorry. But it was literally one of those things where I was just wanted the accountability of posting every single day and just to keep consistent in the gym, because that was like my way to stay on top of my own training. And then over the pandemic, over the last couple of years, it's literally just been something that has grown into a career path. I am super thankful for it because I don't even know what life would look like if it wasn't currently what it was. And at the same time, I would never imagine my life to be what it is now, if that makes sense. So I'm super thankful for the community I have, the support I have, and to be able to post things like this on YouTube as well as grow on platforms like TikTok and Instagram has been an absolute dream and a journey, and I'm super thankful for it. My new ones that I lost, so sad. I still haven't found the right shoe. So we ordered a new pair and they're gonna be like a purpley color. So I'm super excited for those to come in. I don't know if I'm gonna love them yet because they just haven't come in, but I loved my white pair with the pink, like unmatched, and I'm so sad that it is just forever lost. So take good care of your stuff, otherwise you just lose it. Pretty sad, but I loved them. Yes, so I do strength training online through my platform of Playbooks. So that's the app that I'm on. And so that one has literally my calisthenics programs, my handstands, my mobility, as well as my strength training, as well as if you train with me privately, whether it's virtual one-on-one, we're on Zoom call together, or if we're just doing online programming where I send you a custom program. I do literally strength training, all the same stuff that's on my app. It's just a little more custom, individual. And of course, the one-on-one time, you have my entire time and attention for the session that you're with me. That is fair. There's a lot of stuff on my app. For me, I like to upload a new program every single month, as well as exercises or follow-alongs or tutorials. So if you're someone who's completely new to working out, definitely watch the frequently asked questions section. That's where I kind of answer how to even use the app in general, as well as go through some of the exercise tutorials. Watch those so you kind of have an idea of like what exercises should look like, as well as some just like little cues to kind of get into your head as you get into the workouts. Now, for someone who's brand new to fitness and just wants to get into strength training, you'd probably want to start with the Get Started program. If you're someone who wants to get into calisthenics, brand new again, you'd want to get to that beginner calisthenics program. And then I always say to pair it with the mobility section as well, because it has a ton of warm-ups as well as specific stretches for people who are wanting to get their splits, improve the lower body mobility or their overhead mobility. I did go to university and I'm a very proud Golden Hawk, so I went to Laurier. Anyone who's from Laurier, comment below because I literally love that school. And I went there for, I almost said calisthenics. I did not go there for that. I went there for kinesiology, and I actually didn't take any of the nutrition courses. So I didn't do any of my nutrition training in school. I did it post-school in some other ones. Like there's a ton of options. Precision nutrition is the most popular one, but there's a ton of different options you can get for nutrition as well. But kinesiology is my schooling background. Absolutely. I think my client right now, who's 45, is literally learning how to do a handstand and literally has no background in any type of gymnastics or acrobatics or anything like that. And we've obviously worked on the fundamental part first of just like body awareness, upper body strength, and mobility, because that's a huge part of it. And then just now we're getting into that handstand portion. So regardless of how old you are, what kind of background you have, a handstand is one of those skills that, given the proper fundamental work, is something that you can definitely learn at any age. If I had to change jobs, I think I'd want to get back into photography, because fun fact, I used to do photography and like graphic design, all that kind of more like artsy stuff back when I was in high school. And then I got scared out of doing it full-time in university because my parents told me that it's art stuff and it's going to be too risky and to go into business. And I followed neither of that and I went into science. But I think if I was given a choice, I would go back to the art area just because I really like doing it. And honestly, once I have a little bit more free time, I think I want to get into it as just like a hobby to do something now. Ooh, on a bad day. Okay, let's go bad day training. So if I'm having a bad day when I'm training, I just dial everything back. Because there's some days where you get into the gym and like things just feel stupid heavy, or things just feel like they don't feel good. So I'll usually dial it back, go lighter, and incorporate different exercises for that day that just feel a little bit more fun. and kind of like bring the joy back into the workout. So I'm not just like beating myself up of like, why do I feel so weak? Why does it feel pooey? All that stuff. So that's kind of like a bad like workout day. When I'm just feeling like bad overall, whether it's like for personal reasons or stress from business, I will usually text like 8 of my friends complaining about how bad the day is going. And it's great to have that, like, again, that support system for me, because each of them have different replies that like either kick me in the butt to make me realize that I'm like just being in my head. Some of them will give me sympathy, and then others will like make me laugh. So it's like that happy balance of just getting a little bit of everything that you need, and that usually puts me in a better mood. And then I'll often try to just do something outside, like even in the winter, if I just like stand by my window, because I'm not gonna walk outside, but just get like fresh air. That's something that usually helps me on like a bad like mental day. And then I'll always order myself food, because food is comfort, and that's usually what I do on a bad day. Oh, that's a deep question. I don't even think I found my purpose yet. I feel like I am close to finding my purpose. I know what I want to be doing. Obviously helping people is a big part of it, and I want to be able to donate a lot of my time in order to help people in what other goals they have within the fitness industry, as well as just like share as much experience as I can. But it's hard to say like what my purpose is as a person, because I feel like anyone can do any of those things that I've said. Is it bad that I don't know my purpose? I'm gonna say that's my purpose, but I don't know if that's like a fully answered question. That's a hard one. Honestly, the biggest challenge of starting my business was like that first step of like starting my business. I remember when I decided to go away from working at a commercial gym and starting my own training business, I was like so terrified to fail. And like that's all that was in my head, was like, if I do this, I step away from this like safety net, I'm just gonna fall flat on my face. And one of the biggest things that my parents told me at the time to help me kind of get over that is that, one, I'm so young. I think I was 23 at the time. They're like, if you do happen to fall on your face, you're 23, you can make up anything. And then the other thing too is like, if you're someone who's a little bit older, say you're like 30s or whichever, money always comes around. Like there's always a way to make money. So never feel of like a stress of like, oh my gosh, I'm scared I'm gonna fail and like I'm not gonna make money, because there's always a way to make money. So in terms of like the hardest part about stepping into owning your own business, even like social media wise too, like I still am low key a little bit nervous to do social media full time, which is why I still do my training. One, because I love to train people, but two, like to step away from something that I love is scary, as well as just to like step full into something that I've always considered as like a fun side hustle is a little bit nerve wracking. So it's always that like first step, I think, is the hardest to start your own business or start your own career path. I think it's something that can fly, like a bird of some type, but like a cool bird, not like a normal bird, you know? Like a hawk? Because I feel like that's pretty cool, because then you can fly everywhere. And I feel like hawks are like not a hunted bird, but they're a hunter. So I'm not likely to die. So that's the one. Oh, I never shared how I first injured my ankle back in 2020. I was just showing pictures on my Instagram of like, oh my God, guys, my ankle's so swollen, so bruised. Like this was like, my ankle was ginormous and I thought I had broken it. And honestly, I should have, because I was so dumb. My friend Zandy was like flipping off of like elevated surfaces, and I typically don't do that because I spin pretty fast, so I don't like to do that. And so we were practicing it into the foam pit, and like I gradually got pretty high. And then he was like, oh, I'm gonna go flip off of this surface that's literally 2 stories high. And I was like, yeah, me too. And so he flipped and was fine, and then I flipped. And because my ankles betrayed me, I literally landed on a rolled ankle from 2 stories high on a crash mat. My ankle was done. And from that point on, my ankle has never been the same. It's now fatter than my other ankle, and it rolls a lot more than my other ankle. And so that is the dumbest injury I've ever had in my entire life. So don't do stuff. Don't follow your friends. Oh, I think hitting 1 million followers on Instagram was my favorite achievement, because one, it took me, I'm gonna say like quote unquote a long time, but for a lot of people, they're gonna think, oh, you went to 1 million pretty quickly. But for me, it feels like a long time because I've been posting for so long where you guys didn't know my social media. So 2017, 2022, which is 5 years. That's the math, right? 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 years, that's a long time. And so I think having that and like seeing the progress of my page changing as well. Like when I first started posting my videos, I had no music. I would literally it'd be silence. And they wouldn't be well shot, the angles would be bad. And so to see my growth and like my creative process has been really cool to see. And then also just like the building of the community has been something that I just absolutely love and will never take for granted. Like, you guys are so amazing. And then in terms of like the million, like I just would have never thought I would ever, like in a million years, like have 1 million followers. Like, that's absolutely bonkers to me. So that's definitely one of my favorite achievements of 2022. This is a good question because I think I've had this conversation with like 3 people in the last 2 days. I think it's so natural for us to always feel like we're not doing enough, that we're not good enough, or like things are missing in whether it's our personal life or our business life. And I think in times where I don't feel like I'm doing enough, instead of just like having that broad statement of like, I'm not doing enough, I try to pinpoint it a little bit more. Like, why do I feel that way? Like, do I always feel like I'm running behind on things? Are people always waiting for me to finish projects? Have I been lacking in things that I told myself would be done by now, like aren't? Am I physically getting weaker? Are my skills getting worse? Like, I try to pinpoint exactly what's making me feel like I'm not doing enough. And that's a lot more beneficial than just like throwing words up in the air and being like a broad statement of I'm not doing enough. So I think in order to feel better in those scenarios, you really just gotta like zone in and self-reflect and figure out why exactly those things are happening. And when you go through all these things, it's also mentally like calming as well to realize like, oh no, I am finishing everything on time. No, I am getting stronger. Like, you can kind of recognize your small wins within this whole like discovery of like why you're actually feeling that way. So I think that's one of the best ways to just kind of like overcome that feeling of not feeling like you're doing enough. Favorite food, that one's so hard. I like anything like within the Asian realm. So I like ramen, I like Korean barbecue, I like Japanese barbecue, I like kimchi, I like pho. I like everything. Honestly, anything. I do like a lot of food, but I'm gonna name those as like my top 5 of my favorite food. So if you guys have a favorite food, comment below as well. My top 3 goals for 2023. I want to, and this is gonna be me manifesting it, I wanna pitch the first pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's been a goal of mine for the last 2 years because I just feel like I really wanna do like backflips, splits, and then just like toss the ball. And I'm actually gonna train so that way when I do get the chance, my throw will be absolutely impeccable. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 would to be grow my YouTube channel. So I know I took a little bit of a hiatus for the last like little Christmas/New Year's because I was just enjoying some family time, but I wanna get back into my posting twice a week and hopefully grow my YouTube channel. My goal is around 50K, so hopefully that happens. So for that to happen, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, share my page, all that good stuff. And then goal number 3 would just be continuing to push myself and bring in new opportunities. So for me, one of the big things, I'm coming out with a product in the new year. I can't say anything more than that because I don't want to like spoil it too much. But again, just kind of like finding different ways to grow my business and challenge myself and go into different areas that I'm not currently in. So those are my 3 goals for 2023. So that is it for today's video. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit more about me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and took something away, whether it was like some advice or just some fun knowledge, whatever it is. But if you guys want to see another Q&A video, just comment below and make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you guys next time.